Everyone thinks Sisyphus was miserable. The philosopher who studied him concluded the opposite. I've read the logbook myself, Albert Camus's essay on Sisyphus, written in 1942 during the Nazi occupation of France. He wasn't writing in a library. He was living in a city under siege, watching people make choices in the face of meaninglessness. And he arrived at a conclusion that still unsettles people today. The condemned man pushing a boulder uphill forever might actually be the happiest person alive. The myth itself comes from ancient Greece. Sisyphus was a king, clever, deceitful, someone who cheated death twice. As punishment, the gods condemned him to an eternal task: roll a massive stone up a mountain. Every time he reached the summit, it would roll back down. He'd descend, place his hands on it again, and push. Forever. No progress. No end, no escape. For centuries, philosophers and theologians treated this as horror, the ultimate image of futility, a cautionary tale about the human condition, suffering without purpose, repetition without reward. When you read medieval commentaries on Sisyphus, you see the word despair used constantly. They couldn't imagine anything worse. Then Camus arrived at the problem differently. He wasn't interested in what the gods intended. He was interested in what Sisyphus actually experienced during the descent. That moment when the boulder rolls back, that's when something shifts. Because in that instant, Sisyphus knows the truth. The boulder will fall. His effort will be undone. His work has no external meaning. And that's precisely where most people would break. That's the moment of despair. But Camus asked a different question. What if Sisyphus accepted it? Not resigned acceptance, that's different. True acceptance. He sees the boulder fall. He sees the futility. And instead of fighting it, he walks down the mountain consciously, deliberately, aware. This is the absurd, not the condition itself. The absurd is the collision between human desire for meaning and a universe that offers none. It's what you find when you stop looking for external reasons to keep going. When you realize the job won't complete, the project will stall, the effort won't compound into something permanent, and you keep going anyway. I've watched this in actual people, not in philosophy seminars. A surgeon I knew operated on patients who would get sick again. Her cases didn't resolve, they managed. Temporarily. She could have seen that as futility. Instead, she showed up. Every morning. Because the work mattered in the moment, not because of some imagined permanent cure. Camus's final line is the one that cuts deepest. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, not despite the futility, because of the consciousness of it, because he stopped waiting for the gods to change the rules. He stopped hoping the boulder stays at the top. He's accepted the condition and found freedom inside it. This isn't optimism. It's not toxic positivity. Camus was a realist. He knew the work was meaningless in the cosmic sense. But he also knew something else. Meaning isn't given. It's constructed. It's made in the act of doing. The surgeon's meaning wasn't in the cure, it was in the care. The parent's meaning isn't in raising a perfect child, it's in the daily showing up. Here's what separates this from mere resignation. Sisyphus could hate the boulder, could resent the gods, could spend his eternity cursing. That would be passive suffering. Instead, and this is crucial, he chooses to own the task, not because he has to, but because he decides the act of pushing is what makes him alive. Modern life is full of Sisyphean tasks. You know this already. Email inboxes that refill, fitness routines that require endless repetition, relationships that demand constant maintenance, professional goals that shift the moment you approach them. The boulder rolls back down, every single time, and we're trained to see this as failure. But what if you reframed it? Not as failure, but as the actual structure of meaningful work. The reason the task repeats is because it matters. If you sent an email once and never needed to communicate again, that wouldn't be freedom, it'd be disconnection. If you went to the gym once and never needed movement, you'd be dead. The Stoics understood something similar, though they framed it differently. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait for victory. He focused on the next action in his control, the next decision, the next breath. He wasn't pushing a boulder, but he was accepting that the empire would crumble eventually, that his work wouldn't be permanent, and he did it anyway. What Camus offers us is permission. Permission to stop waiting for the boulder to stay at the top. Permission to stop believing that meaning requires permanence. Permission to find satisfaction in the push itself, not in the outcome. In the conscious, deliberate act of showing up to a task you know will never be finished. This is where it gets practical. If you're waiting for your work to feel complete before you feel successful, you've already lost. You'll wait forever. The project will always need something. The relationship will always need tending. The body will always need care. The moment you accept this, something changes. The burden lifts. I've seen it happen. People who stop chasing the permanent win and start inhabiting the process, they become more effective, more present, more alive, not because the work changed, because their relationship to it did. They're not pushing the boulder, they're dancing with it. Sisyphus never failed. He simply accepted the terms. And in that acceptance, he found something the gods didn't intend to give him: freedom. Not freedom from the boulder, freedom inside the condition. That's the absurd victory. That's what Camus saw that the ancients missed. The next time you feel frustrated that your effort won't be permanent, pause. That's not a bug in the system. That's the entire point. The work matters because it repeats, because it requires you, because it's alive. Sisyphus was never condemned. He was invited to become conscious. And that changes everything. Subscribe for more essays on existentialism and ancient wisdom applied to modern life. We explore the philosophies that show you how to live, not just exist.